Hey guys, this is part 2 of the geometry review video. This is going to cover questions 11 through 20, and this is going to be about parallel lines cut by a transversal. So for the first 4 questions, it says to use the diagram here to the right, and we're going to classify the angle pairs as either corresponding angles, alternate interior angles, alternate exterior angles, or consecutive interior angles. I'm going to use a different color for each of these angle pairs so that we can mark them on the graph, on the diagrams so that you can see them a little bit more clearly. So let's look at number 11. This is going to be angle 1, which is here, and angle 14, which is down here. Because those are on this left line, I'm going to go ahead and cover up the right one so that I can just focus on these. I do see that they are both on opposite sides of my transversal, which makes them alternate, and then they are exterior because they are on the outside. So for the first one, for number 11, these are alternate exterior angles. I'm not going to write the whole thing out. You know what that means. Okay, let's look at number 12, 6 and 10. So angle 6 is here, and angle 10 is here. So again, we're on that same transversal. I see that 6 and 10 are both on the same side of the transversal, and they're both inside next to each other, so that makes these consecutive interior angles. Okay, next one is 7 and 15. So angle 7 is here, angle 15 is here. Okay, so I'm going to cover this up. So they are both on the same side of the transversal, and I see that in this cluster, angle 7 is on the bottom and to the left, and angle 15 is also bottom and to the left. So these are in the same spot, which makes these corresponding angles. And then last one is 8 and 11. 8 is here, and 11 is here. These are alternate interior angles. Okay, let's look at number 15. So we know that angle 2 is 125 degrees. We know that angle 12 is 37, and we know that 18 is 102. We need to go ahead and fill these out. So I'm going to do some of the obvious ones first. So since I know angle 2 is 125, that means 5 is 125 because they're vertical angles. That means that I can also figure out what angle 1 and angle 6 are by taking 180 and subtracting 125 from it. So angle 1 is going to be 55 degrees, which means angle 6 is also 55 degrees. I also know that 6 and 10 are the same because those are alternate interior angles. So 10 is also 55 degrees, which means 16 is 55 degrees, and 15 is 125 degrees because 15 and 2 are alternate exterior angles. Now, 11 and 12 together have to equal 125 degrees. I know 12 is 37, and so angle 11 has to be 88 because 88 plus 37 has to equal 125. So again, angle 11 is 88 degrees. So what I now know, let me grab my pencil really quick. I know that angle 6 in here is 55. I know that angle 11 is 88. And I can use these 3 angles to make a triangle. 88 plus 55 gives me 143, which means that angle 7 has to be 37 degrees because these 3 angles have to add up to be 180 degrees. So angle 7, 37 degrees. Okay, Let's focus on this cluster down here. This one's pretty easy to figure out. 13, 14, 17, 18. I know 18 is 102. That means 13 is 102 because those are vertical angles. That means that I also know that 14 and 17 both have to be 78 degrees because they have to add up to be 180. If 14 is 78 degrees, then 4 also has to be 78 degrees because those are corresponding angles. They're in the same position. So 4 is 78 degrees. 3 and 9 have to be the same size, and 3 and 9 have to be the same as 18 and 13, right? 13 and 3 are corresponding, 18 and 9 are corresponding. They're all the same. So they are all 102. So I know angle 9 is 102, I know angle 3 is 102. There's only one thing that I have left to figure out, and that's angle 8. And there are a lot of different ways that you can do that. I'm going to show you the way that I think makes the most sense to me. I know 3 is 102, I know 9 is 102, and then I know 4 is 78. So these two angles, 7 and 8 together, have to be the same as 4. I know 4, again, is 78, and I know 7 is 37, so 78 minus 37 will give me angle 8, which is 41 degrees. And we're done. Okay, let's look at number 16. It says, if L is parallel to M, find the value of X. So I have 8x plus 20 is this angle here, and 11x minus 31 is this angle here. These are corresponding angles, which means that they are congruent. So I can go ahead and set these equal to each other, and then just solve for x. So I'm going to subtract 8x over, so 11 minus 8 is 3x, and then I'm going to add 31. So I get 51 equals 3x. If I divide both sides by 3, then x equals 17. Okay, next one. I've got 9x minus 4 in here and 5x plus 16 in there. These are next to each other. They're both interior, so they're consecutive interior angles. And consecutive interior angles add up to 180. They are supplementary. So I need to take 9x minus 4 and add 5x plus 16 and make them equal to 180. So now when I combine like terms, 9 plus 5 is 14, so that's 14x plus 12 equals 180. If I do 180 minus 12, that gives me 14x equals 168. And then divide by 14, x is 12. Okay. Number 18. We need to find the value of x and y. So the first thing we're going to do is start with x, and that's these two angles right here. They're both alternate interior angles, so they are equal. They're congruent, so I can set them equal to each other. I'm going to subtract 7 over here. So that's going to give me 5x. And if I add 28, that's going to give me 40 on the other side, which means x is 8. Now, I can use that to figure out what y is. So if I plug 8 in for x here, I do 12 times 8 minus 28. That tells me that this angle is 68 degrees. These two angles together form a linear pair, which means they add up to 180. Which means that this angle has to be equal to 112, because 112 plus 68 equals 180. So I can take 9y minus 77 and set that equal to 112. I can add 77 to both sides, which gives me 189. Divide by 9, and y is 21. Okay, x and y again, so I've got this x and this x. Those are alternate exterior, so these are congruent, meaning that I can set them equal to each other. I'll subtract 5x over to get 3x, and then I'll add 14 to give me 48. So 3x equals 48. If I divide 48 by 3, I'm going to get that x is 16. Similar to how I did the last problem now, I'm going to plug 16 into this 8x minus 14. So 8 times 16 minus 14 tells me that this angle is 114 degrees. 180 minus 114 tells me that 5y plus 16 has to be equal to 66 degrees. So 5y plus 16 equals 66. If I subtract 16, that means 5y has to equal 50, or y equals 10. Okay, this last one. Probably the trickiest one on here. So I know that I have to use my x values. So I've got this one here, but then I've got both of these, okay? These are the two lines that are parallel to each other. So if I just cover this up for a moment and you look, this is an interior angle and this is the other interior angle, is these two together. So 2x plus 13 and 47 and 3x all have to add up to be 180. So when I write this, it's 2x plus 13 plus 47 plus 3x equal 180. And that's because in this diagram, this 2x plus 13 technically belongs right here. So the three of these angles together make 180. So if I combine like terms, 5x plus 60 equals 180, which means 5x equals 120, which means that x is 24. Second half of this is significantly easier. 5y minus 23 is here, and that is actually in the same position as just our 3x. 3 times 24 is 72, so that tells me that 5y minus 23 has to be equal to 72. Which means that 5y is equal to 95, or y is 19. And that's the whole study guide on transversals.